The transfer portal is open.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. And joining us as he does every Tuesday for a little Charlie Tuesday action, it's Charlie 5, Auburn message board legend, also the host of the Top Button podcast. And Charlie 5, we heard Hugh Freeze say after A-Day that Auburn is going to get some defensive linemen. They're going to look at wide receiver, and we'll talk about both of those positions. But it's just kind of funny. Okay, he labels those guys or those position groups, and the position, or I guess the player that we've heard the most smoke about is Trayquan Fagin, who plays defensive back. And reports a few days ago say, hey, the USC defensive back, Trayquan Fagin, is expected to enter the transfer portal. Auburn is tied to him. This is an Alabama kid, went to the University of Alabama, transferred to USC, and there's a lot of smoke connecting Trayquan Fagin, probably going to play nickel if he were to go back to the SEC. A lot of people linking him to Auburn, assuming he enters the portal sometime today.
Yeah, when you talk about a lot of people, I mean, USC beat writers are the ones that are kind of spilling the beans, so to speak. I don't know if it's sour grapes or I just made two food references in 5 seconds, but
I hope it is sour grapes, by the way. I hope they're mad about it.
Yeah, so they went out and said, hey, he's probably going to go in the portal, and look for him to commit to Auburn, or look for him to go to Auburn. And they said with his brother. That's what the USC writer said, which, you know, his brother is Trayquan Fagin, which is a top 100 player safety from Thompson as well. So the portal could be popping early with another 4-star defensive back to add to this loaded defensive back class. It almost makes you wonder, could you see some, attrition there possibly? Could you see some guys leave? Because I said on my show, like, the hardest thing about this defensive back group is just going to be keeping everybody happy, because there's so many dudes that are 6 foot, 200 pounds that can play. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be interesting to see play out. But yeah, Trayquan Fagin is a big name that I would be on the lookout for early in the portal season.
Yeah, we've already seen crystal balls for Trayquan Fagin then kind of get thrown out there in Auburn's direction. So, I mean, there is so many different things to look at about the Fagins duo eventually, popping up at Auburn, which those are two guys that you certainly want. Something you just said about the loaded defensive back room, and maybe we didn't pay attention to this enough, but if I'm an opposing team, if I'm a team outside of Auburn and I need defensive backs, and you're able to kind of locate a team like Auburn where there's a bunch of young guys that are all kind of the same age, and there's kind of a bunch of a logjam almost of talent at several different positions. Like, maybe we should have seen this coming. Like, maybe we should have talked about this, and we don't know if anything's going to happen or not. But as far as guys that could potentially leave, like maybe that shouldn't come as a huge shock when you look at all the depth that Auburn's built in the defensive backfield.
Yeah, but what's crazy is, like, there hasn't really been talk yet, or like whispers of a big name from the defensive back room, or maybe not even a big name, just a name in general.
I haven't heard anything yet.
I haven't heard one so far. There's people that are kind of freaking out that Kayin Lee. I don't know if his Instagram has always been the way it is, where it's just like there's only one picture, even though it's an Auburn picture. I don't know if he went back and deleted his role, or I don't know. There was whispers in the December portal he may go where, but like it seemed that seems to be maybe the only whisper, and really that's only people freaking out over his Instagram. So, like, yeah, you got a loaded defensive back room, and you haven't really heard a lot of smoke about any of them wanting to leave, but you're looking to add another big guy. So let's just play. What's a defense where you can just put 8 defensive backs out there? Just put 8 just studs back there and just roll with it.
I do wonder.
3-8.
I mean, Auburn feels good about their top 3 linebackers, but it's like if somebody were to go down and you weren't quite ready to play one of these freshmen yet, is it a situation where you play a bunch of, just single linebacker sets and just play more guys close to the line of scrimmage? I do wonder if that's something that Durkin has dealt with before.
Dude, you got guys like, have you seen, Terrence Love is like 215 pounds. Laquan Robinson, we talked about, we haven't seen or heard anything about him. And then like this pictures of him are going viral. He's absolutely massive. Yeah. Like, could you throw an extra safety, a big bodied safety out there and just play like a lot of range? It might hurt you possibly in some of the like bigger running teams. But if you got these dudes airing stuff out, like why not,
Yeah. Like the teams that run the football more, like that's kind of going away. I mean, you look at Auburn's really schedule and it's like maybe Kentucky, like maybe, but
maybe Georgia. Sure. But I mean,
yeah,
everybody else is going to throw it around.
Yeah. So I don't know. In a situation where you need as many DBs as possible, we'll see what Auburn does to hold on to as many of these guys as possible. So, I mean, what's your confidence level with Trayquan Fagins hitting the portal sometime either today, tomorrow, this week, and then popping up at Auburn at some point in the near future?
I mean, when you have USC writers who are saying he's going to come to Auburn, and then that same USC writer starts putting in crystal ball picks for his brother, you got to feel extremely confident about it. Like there's that connection there with Charles Kelly. Charles Kelly recruited him at Thompson, actually got him committed, I think, at one time to Alabama.
Yeah.
And then you got, the connection with his brother, and they're going to kind of be, I guess they could technically kind of commit around the same time. We'd been thinking Anquan was going to commit at any point in time. Could it be a double announcement? Could it just be, I don't know. But if it just as a fan on the outside, I feel like my confidence level in adding Trayquan
is pretty high.
Is extremely high, and then double that, with his brother, same thing.
Would you rather them announce at the same time, or would you rather them space it out?
It's always good to stay in the headlines. You know what I mean? It's always good to stay in the headlines, but I don't know. With it being brothers, that could be something cool. But if it were me, I'd want it spaced out. But I don't think it's really a lose-lose either way. I think it's a win-win regardless.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be picky about it for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So Auburn has an official visitor in town right now. We talked about him a ton on yesterday's show. Got a little bit of information on how that went. We discussed that in just a moment, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show is brought to you by, Charlie 5, let me ask you a question. Can you imagine placing a bet or a wager anywhere other than FanDuel Sportsbook?
Not only can I not, I won't imagine it. I will not imagine it.
It's not a world I want to live in. Yeah. So head over to FanDuel.com/lockedon. It's playoff time for the NBA, supposedly, in the NHL, supposedly. The MLB is in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every single game. Imagine if, you couldn't bet on every game, Charlie 5.
God, what a life. That would just be an awful, empty life.
That's right. But in FanDuel, you can bet on every single game. And imagine, signing up and only getting $149 in bonus bets. What? No.
Why?
Full 150 over at FanDuel.
Full 150.
New customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks on the app that's safe, secure, and easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to make your first bet an automatic win. Charlie 5, today's show is also brought to you by our friends at Monopoly Go. I've been told I'm a competitive person. Do you think that's true, Charlie 5?
Oh, I know it's true. It's got to be true.
Your internet connection can't even handle Monopoly Go. That's where we're at right now, and that's okay. I've got a competitive side. We all do. And my competitive side is a huge fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you can play on not just one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. And the best part is you can mess with your friends within the game. Can you name an app that you would rather spend time on, Charlie 5?
There's not. It's funny. I was getting my hair. This makes so much sense. I was getting my hair cut the other day, and the girl that was cutting my hair was getting on to the girl beside her for not holding her weight in Monopoly Go. Like, hey, I'm carrying this team.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
That's right. That's
Makes
right.
sense.
So get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store or Google Play. So when you look at the priority, I think, for Auburn this transfer portal window, it is defensive line. And
For sure.
I think it's going to be exciting when Auburn adds other positions like defensive back. We all think that's going to happen. It sounds like receiver is going to be something too. And depending on who all leaves, and we'll get to that later in the show, like receiver could move up that list. I was a little surprised when Freeze said wide receiver after 8A, but there also could be some things kind of in the works. So we'll see what happens with all that. But defensive line, like, is clearly the issue, like from a depth standpoint. And I know there's a lot of people that feel good about how they played on Saturday or this past Saturday at 8A, which is cool. That's great. And they did play above at a higher level than I was expecting them to, which is outstanding. That is certainly a good thing. You still need more. You still need more guys in depth across the board. So Philip Bliddy, 6'3", just shy of 300-pound guy, played 3 years at Texas Tech. Played last year at Indiana. It sounds like, talked to somebody involved with his visit yesterday, Charlie 5, and it sounds like it went well. And I mean, it sounds like he's very interested. It sounds like he's culturally would be a great fit. And I mean, there's only so much we can know and so much, as far as how it compares to other visits that he's had. But all in all, it seems like Auburn did everything in their power and controlled what they could control on this visit.
Absolutely. And then, this is the first visit that he could take with the portal opening. And you saw last cycle, it seemed like that first visit, typically it's flipped. You want the last visit in high school. In the portal, it seems like you want the first visit. And if things go well, could they go ahead and push and end it before he goes elsewhere? He's definitely one that we've been talking about for a while. I think if you go ahead and add him, you feel good about it. Maybe you look to add maybe one or two more, maybe another inside guy and an edge, possibly like a pass rusher type guy. But I like Philip Bliddy. I think you're talking about a better version of maybe like a Lawrence Johnson.
Is it Bliddy? Bliddy almost sounds like it makes more sense than Bliddy.
I have no idea. I'm saying Bliddy. I could be wrong.
Let's split it so at least one of us will be right. You remember the Zalen Worsham show where we called him Dazzlin for the entire show?
Yeah, Dazzlin, the whole show, and it's Dzalen, which made so much sense if you really think.
How did we not see that?
Well, this is why I'm going Bliddy. Because you got the same I sound twice. If it's an E on the end, it should be an E in the middle, right? Or the second one should be EE, Bliddy.
Well, it's all eyes, right?
Yeah. It could be Bliddy. It's not Bliddy. You're going to say E on that last I. So are both of them the same sound? I'm going to go with Bliddy.
Okay.
I may be wrong.
Yeah. How Locked On Auburn survived after the Dazzlin Worsham, where we did a full segment talking about Dazzlin, and then all the comments were like, it's not, y'all are saying his name wrong. It's like, oh my goodness. How that wasn't the last show we ever did. I don't know.
Between that and Amaris Williams, this one could put an end to us. If we're wrong on this one, this could go ahead and.
The Amaris thing was awful. Is bad. Props to him for calling us out and setting the tone early. I love that. Seriously, I love that. But
hold us accountable.
Yeah, 100%. Accountability is a good thing. So, I mean, it seems like a lot of defensive linemen are entering the portal. I think this is going to be a big market for defensive linemen, because Auburn's not the only school dealing with this. This is a situation that schools all throughout college football are battling is depth. And at least Auburn has young guys, a very, very impressive group of freshmen. So Auburn might be in a better spot than several other schools, but this is going to be a market for defensive linemen to really capitalize on situations regarding NIL. So much so you're seeing guys like the guy at Colorado, the defensive lineman who entered the portal, who I don't even think had a tackle last year. He didn't play hardly at all. But I think guys like that are going to be sought after just because they're P5 defensive linemen, that their bodies are already developed. So if they want this kid or any of the other guys that are going to, I mean, there's going to be hundreds in there the portal over the next few days, supposedly. They want some of these top guys. You need to be aggressive, I think, and kind of give them what they want early.
You better come ready to battle because, like, Josh Pate has been talking about this for like 3 weeks now, maybe a month, that the defense from 247, that defensive line is going to be just an all-out, just dude fest, just dogfighting over these guys. You got Isaiah Rikes from USC that Auburn finished second for in the portal in December. That's back in the portal. You got to assume maybe that check didn't clear at USC for that. But I mean, could that be a guy that you go after? And could there be some other dudes that enter a little bit later that were looking to level up? I mean, it's going to be an all-out war for defensive linemen. And if Auburn is looking to add to a couple, you better be ready to go. You better be ready to fight.
Yeah, and another thing that Pate tweeted out was we're about to see like where people really are with NIL for for these defensive linemen. And he tweeted that after he was in Auburn doing like content and stuff. So it kind of makes me wonder, is like, did somebody tell him something? Like,
he made a mention too about Auburn. He was like, what do we feel about Auburn if Auburn just adds 2 elite defensive linemen in the portal? Like, he kind of said that in a segment, like, do we change the way we feel about Auburn going into the season?
I do. I think you could add. I think you could add 2 more wins, Charlie 5.
For sure. You know, even though we played really well against the run in the spring game, you're playing against an RPO offense that doesn't have the quarterback R. You know what I mean? So you can kind of slant and guess. You can kind of be aggressive at stopping the run. So I don't really put a ton of stock into that. And it looks like we're looking for more help, so we don't really either. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch.
What does that look like to you? Let's say Auburn, let's dream for a moment. Dream with me, please. And dream with me down in the chat, too. Answer this question for me, because I'm genuinely curious. I want to hear Charlie 5's answer, but I want to hear everybody's answer with this. If Auburn does add these 2, high-quality defensive linemen, what position groups do we think they are? Do we think they're interior guys, or do we think they're a backup to Keldrick Falk at strong side defensive end? Like, what does that look like? But to me, let's say they're both the interior spots, these true defensive linemen. Are you comfortable like promising a starting job over a Jason Jones and a Gage Keys if you're Hugh Freeze in this coaching staff? Because I had this conversation on another show. I think you're going to have to promise starting positions to get some of these guys, because the schools you're recruiting against are going to do it. And I think at some point you're going to have to do it to get some of these guys. I don't love the principle of it, but you have to add these guys if you want to win 9 games or more in 2024.
I mean, do you have to just straight up say you got the starting job, or can you just say, look, this is on film, what you have to beat out? Like, are you better than this guy? Like, can you show like spring practice film and say, look, this is where we need you. This is where this person is lacking. And if you can fill this hole, like the job, there's nothing stopping you from winning this job. Like,
I just kind of feel like it happened last year though. Like with the whole like Justin Rogers thing. Like, I don't think he was better than Jason. No. But I think they probably had an NIL package where they almost made it feel like they had to play him more.
Yeah, but Justin also, like you always hoped that the 5-star would come out. You know what I mean? Like, you always hope that.
But you heard the same stuff I did about like how awful he was in fall camp. Like, and then they're starting him a few games into the year. Yeah. Like, that was just weird to me.
But no, it was weird to me as well. But again, I think that's more so you're just, again, hoping that 5-star comes out, hoping so badly that that 5-star talent might show. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know how you go about in the like making this happen in the portal, because like you said, dudes are wanting to play right now. Some dudes are just chasing a check, but for the most part, dudes are this is my last ride. I'm trying to make it happen. And how do you do that? You do have bodies. Like, it's not like you don't have anybody. You have bodies that you paid or that you got in here. So it's like, I don't know. It's a tough sell.
Yeah, and then like, what does that do internally with whatever you told Gage Keys, who's been here 5 minutes, and then it's like, yeah,
Carter.
Right, Trill Carter, who, I mean, we don't know what he was told either, but it's just an interesting situation, and we talk about like all the stress and all these decisions that these college football coaches have to manage now. This is just another element of it. Because they can, my understanding is they can leave too. I mean, it doesn't seem to be like a whole lot of limiting with how many times you transfer at this point. So
no,
we'll see what that looks like. We'll see what that looks like. Who could leave Auburn this week? We discuss in just a moment right here on Locked On Auburn. Charlie 5, we love the transfer portal. And if you want to get some talent out of the transfer portal, go to LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege. If you want the surefire 5-star, you don't have to worry about if they're going to produce. You need to be posting your job for free at LinkedIn Jobs. They have the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Charlie 5, let me ask you a question. Now that the portal window is open, would you rather get a surefire guy who's been a starter at his previous school for 3 years, or a guy who's, former 3-star, appeared in 3 or 4 games last year, and that's kind of all you know? Which one would you rather have?
Give me that 5-star. Let's go.
Yep. Wasn't really one of the options, but I'm with you. Yeah, we all want a 5-star for sure. And you can get that for your small business by posting your job for free at LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege. That's LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. We hinted at a few names throughout the show, but Charlie 5, in your mind, is there any big name or starting caliber player on Auburn's roster that you think could hit the portal this week?
That's so tough, man. That's so tough. Like, based off what we've been hearing in different reports, you feel like the names so far that could possibly enter the portal are guys that are sort of they round out the room, or they're sort of depth pieces, or young and upcoming guys. Maybe there could be a starting level guy that go, but I think, barring some disaster, I feel like if we lose, 5+ guys, I think most of them are going to be names that you're not. I don't want to say you're not sad that they left, or there's ones that you understand, or it's okay. It's not detrimental, easier to replace type guys to go in. I don't really see a blockbuster unless, I talked about the K and Lee stuff. I guess that could be a blockbuster, but you're so deep at your defensive back. I mean, that would hurt. But again, I don't want to start. I'm not starting a rumor. I'm just saying, like, I know that there's been people that have been scared about that or nervous.
Yeah, I mean, K and Lee leaving would be bad. That'd certainly be bad. But I mean, for the same reason folks are nervous about K and Lee leaving, because he thought about leaving in the last window. Like, Keontae Scott was in that same boat too, and you're not really hearing the same chatter about him. What about the wide receiving core? Some of the names in the wide receiver room, like, you're hearing the same ones I am. Like, I've heard Jay Fair's name. I've heard Coy Moore's name. I've heard Caleb Burton's name. And like, I don't think any of those guys, like, losing one of them would be detrimental. But if all 3 were to go, that's a big deal. Yeah, that's a big deal just from a body standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, you have to just imagine you're going to have some attrition in that wide receiver room, whether it be going to find playing time elsewhere, or discipline, or what. I mean, you're bound to have some just from that standpoint, you're expecting to lose some folks. But like you said, if you lose all 3 of those guys, one of those 3 is not a massive deal. But if you lose all 3 of those guys, you're only bringing in 2 freshmen. You have a decimated wide receiver room, so you desperately have to go into the portal and bring in some more bodies. Yeah.
And then as far as quarterback, because we've talked about Holden Geriner a lot on this show, possibly entering the portal. I don't know if I'm as into that anymore. I mean, it seems like he wants to stay. It's based kind of what I've heard as of late. Somebody close to him that I talked to kept mentioning like that Auburn degree.
Yeah.
And once again, like whenever somebody enters the portal, there's a million different reasons and a million different priorities that fuel a person to make their decisions, whether the decision is to stay or the decision is to leave. There's endless amounts of reasons why somebody would want to do that. And like for some of these kids, I mean, a lot of the folks who listen to the show are alumni, right? Like we graduated from Auburn. Like we take that seriously. My Auburn degree is on the wall over here. And it's like, you know, if you're close, like what's one more season? And then, you know, you still have eligibility afterwards if you are, you know, in that situation. So I'm not as into that idea as I once was.
No, I mean, like if you really think about it, more than likely he could probably graduate in December. And then technically, I mean, I guess you could graduate transfer doesn't really matter anymore from the standpoint of giving you multiple times to transfer, because I think you can transfer as many times as you want to, but just having that degree, you're right.
I love that nobody really knows. It's like, I think you can transfer again. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Who knows what credits transfer elsewhere? So like, are you going to be that much further behind getting your degree? I get it. And then if he does go, like, what do you really have to bring in somebody? Like who could you even get to come in and be essentially, you know, definitely behind Peyton Thorne, but maybe even behind Hank Brown? Like what kind of player are you going to get? I keep hearing this wily veteran that's like 24 years old that may go into coaching, you know, that we possibly could get. Like, who is that? Like where? Yeah, I know, but like, where is that? Who is that guy?
I don't know.
Where? Yeah, I don't know I don't really know that person is
who'd they get that was like that a few years ago? Grant Loy, was that his name?
Yeah, Grant Loy. Cord Sandberg kind of was
sure
in that same scenario. It was a little bit different scenario, but like I don't know. I mean, is there that much value there? I don't know. Then just rolling with Walker as your third.
Yeah, I mean, you need a certain amount of quarterbacks to run practice.
Sure.
But, like, is it worth that for, you know, just have a walk-on, have a little bit larger role? Or
I'll do it if we need to do it. I'll put myself.
That's on the record.
Put myself out there.
Okay, I'm not going to edit that out.
I mean, I need a competitive NIL package, but I'll do it if I got to do it.
Okay, all right. We'll see. A lot of people listen to the show. We'll see if you get any offers. What do you think Charlie 5's NIL package should be? Put that in the comments down below or tweet at him on Twitter. I'm looking forward to this answer. Charlie 5, if your internet will allow you to, please tell us how we can check out everything you've got going on.
You can find me on Twitter at _Charlie_5 in the Locked On Auburn Discord every single day, or Tuesdays and Thursdays on not the Dad by Golf Pod, on the Top Button podcast. But you can catch me there too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and if you're an internet company and you want to sign Charlie 5 to an NIL deal to help him out, please reach out.
Hopefully it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, we'll see. Please like the video, please subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow. This has been Locked On Auburn.